And then sometimes I like to add some nut. Using my Ninja, oh my gosh. Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Nikki, and today's video I'm going to be sharing with you guys some dessert recipes. So these are really simple. These are the desserts that I eat pretty much every night. I just switch off between these things, but I like to have them because they're lower point and they're just easy to throw together. But I recently posted a video where I talked about the different sweet treats and different ways that I satisfy my sweet tooth, and these were the things that I mentioned that I actually have to make and assemble. So I thought today it would be helpful to just show how I make all those things. I will put the link for that other video in the description of this one, but I'm gonna go ahead and be walking through some of my favorite desserts. If you enjoyed this video or find it helpful, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. And today we're gonna be starting with one of my favorites, which is apple nachos. I have a Honeycrisp apple here. This one is actually giant, so this is gonna be a big plate of apple nachos, which is good. It's always a really filling dessert and it's just satisfying. One thing I like about it is that I eat it kind of slowly because there's so many nachos, and so I just can kind of sit there and eat it and enjoy it, and yeah, that's why I like these. But anyway, I'm gonna be slicing up this Honeycrisp into thin slices, and I'll show you how I do that. But after I do that, I just lay them out on a plate like nachos, and then I usually pick a different peanut butter spread or like a peanut butter powder that I mix with water or something, and I drizzle that on top. So today the flavor I'm gonna be using, it is a nuts and more spread. It is their almond apple butter protein spread. I've been loving this one, and what's really nice about it is that it is super runny, so it's really easy to use on apple nachos. I'm just gonna be using a 2-point serving, which is 1 tablespoon, so it's a half serving. And I always get questions about how I drizzle the peanut butter onto the nachos, and I have a bunch of extra icing bags that I can't use for my cookie business. I just don't use this size. I had ordered them a while back and I never ended up using them. Now I use them when I cook for like sour cream and different things when I want to make my plate just a little bit more presentable. But that's what I do. I just put the peanut butter container onto my food scale, and then I zero it out, and then I'll scoop out the portion that I want to use, so it'll be like 16 grams into this bag, and then I just use the bag to drizzle it on top. That's what I'm going to be doing for the peanut spread. Then I'm going to add some granola. So since I'm using an apple almond butter, I'm using a cinnamon granola today. We had gotten this at Aldi, and I'm just gonna use a 2-point serving, which is an 1/8 cup. So again, I'll probably just put my plate of apple nachos on the food scale and then zero it and then put the serving onto the nachos. After that, I'm just gonna use some sprinkles, and then I think that'll be it for this. Usually I pick 2 to 3 toppings. Sometimes I'll dice up some nuts, whether it's like peanuts, or I like to add chocolate or dark chocolate, and there's just so many different things you can do with this. I have so many different spreads that I like to use. Specifically from Nuts and More, I like the birthday cake, toffee crunch, and salted caramel because those are their most runny flavors. But you can really just have freedom to change up the different toppings you use, and I usually just like to pick like a 1 or 2 point serving. I figure out the grams in the WW app, and that's how I know how much to use. I'm gonna go ahead and slice up this apple, lay it out, and then add all my toppings, and that'll be it. This entire plate of apple nachos is only going to be 4 points because it's gonna be 2 points for the granola and 2 points for the almond spread. That'll be it, and I'm gonna go ahead and assemble it. Okay, so here is my finished plate of apple nachos. Honestly, I was laying them out and thinking I might have needed a bigger plate, but this works out. This will take me a little bit to eat. It's filling and it's 4 points and it satisfies my sweet tooth. So I'm excited to have this. This is one of my go-to desserts. And like I said, there are so many different variations you can do. Any type of nut butter or any type of drizzle in general. Sometimes I've used like caramel syrup, or you could even use like a chocolate syrup or something. And then granola is always good. Nuts, sprinkles, of course, and then chocolate, anything you want to do. I have so many different ones I've done. I continue to just do different ones with whatever I have on hand, and they're one of my favorite desserts. Okay, so moving on to the next dessert that I'm sharing. This is actually the one that I probably make the most out of the 4 that I'm sharing with you guys today, and that is a yogurt bowl. So I really enjoy having these after dinner. They are usually pretty low point. I usually have them around 4 to 6 points, depending on if I add nut butter to them or what cereal I use, but they are just something that is so good. I love to mix them all together, and they always satisfy my sweet tooth and feel like a dessert. What I do is I use this damnlilt Greek yogurt, and I used to buy the individual containers, but now I just buy the tub because I feel less wasteful with the containers, and I just like to be able to weigh it out. I think I actually get a bigger portion now because I weigh it out, but I use a 2-point serving, which is 155 grams, and I just weigh it out on my food scale. Then I top it with some type of fruit, so usually berries. So today I have blueberries and raspberries. Sometimes I will use strawberries or blackberries. Sometimes I use cut up apple, but usually my favorite is blueberries. Then I top it with some type of cereal. So the cereal or granola that I use the most is the Kashi Go peanut butter cereal. I usually just use a 2-point serving, and I weigh it out using my scale, so it's about 18 grams. But I also have been using some other cereals, and I like to mix it up. It really does make a difference, and all of these work really well with it. I like to use these Panda Puffs. They're just peanut butter, and again, I just track whatever a 2-point serving is in my phone, and then I weigh it out. I also use this chocolate Kashi Go Crunch. It's very similar to the peanut butter one, just chocolate. And then sometimes I use different granolas, so I like the Safe and Fair birthday cake granola, or the Love Crunch chocolate peanut butter is really good too. And usually again with that, I pick a 2-point serving, weigh it out, and add it to my bowl, and it's the perfect amount for just a little bit of crunch. It's perfect with the berries. And then sometimes I like to add some nut butter, which I'm not gonna be doing today because I'm just gonna keep it at a 4-point bowl, but I like to use nuts and more. My all-time favorite to use in the yogurt bowl is their dark chocolate, which let me see if I have some. So these are the Nuts and More peanut butter spreads I like to use. Like I said, this one is my favorite. It is the dark chocolate peanut butter. I also really like to use the birthday cake peanut butter, and then the salted caramel, the toffee crunch, a bunch of them. And I also like to use other peanut butter spreads that we've had, or date spread. Everything really works well in this, and I like to just mix it up and make it a big dessert. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and assemble this today using the blueberries, raspberries, Kashi peanut butter, and then my yogurt. Okay, so you can see it's super easy to just throw it together, and it's also super easy to have some variety with it and mix up the different ingredients that you use. That way I never get sick of it. Honestly, it always tastes different, even if I just switch up the nut butter that I'm using or the berries or whatever. But anyway, this is one of my favorite desserts. It is only 4 points for this entire thing. It tastes delicious and it's satisfying, and it also helps me get in a good amount of protein at the end of the day. So that is it for dessert number 2. Okay, so I just got done eating dinner, and I'm going to share the last 2 desserts that I'm sharing in this video with you guys. The first one that I'm going to be making is actually something that's a breakfast, but I've been making it for dessert lately, and it's been one of my favorite things to have when I have a sweet tooth. So that is going to be a French toast air fryer bake. It's just a 1-serving portion. I'm actually going to be doubling it though to make one for Adam as well, and that's going to be my dessert tonight. I'm also going to be showing you guys what I mix in my creamy creations. I pretty much just have a basic one that we do now, so I'm going to be sharing that with you guys, and then it just has to freeze overnight until I can make it into the creamy using my Ninja Creamy machine. So I'm going to show you guys what I mixed together for that, but first I'm going to make the French toast. And the reason I've been making this more recently is because we've been getting fresh sourdough from the market, and so I just used a slice of it and cut it up, and that's usually all I have to track for this recipe, because I'm just going to be using egg, some milk, and I'm going to be using this Fairlife fat-free milk, so it's actually 0 points for the 1.5 tablespoons that I use. Then I'm going to be using some frozen blueberries, so those are 0 points. For the bread today, I'm going to be using this bread from Trader Joe's. It is just their ancient grain and seed bread. You can have 2 slices for 3 points, so that's what I'm going to be doing in each dish, and 1 slice has 70 calories and 3 grams of protein. I'm going to slice that up into cubes, and then that'll just be the bread for the French toast bake. I use these ramekins from Target. I want to say they're 14 ounce. I need to double check, but I can link them in the description. But I just bought them at Target, and they are perfect for the air fryer. I just make sure to spray them pretty well with some nonstick spray. I usually use the ghee because it adds a little bit of a buttery flavor. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm just gonna mix together an egg with some of the milk, some cinnamon, which I have right here, and then 2 teaspoons of brown sugar or brown sugar replacement. I used to use Swerve a lot, but then I recently found this, and this has been my go-to. It's a little bit higher in points because Swerve is usually 0 points, but this I'm gonna be using today. It's 1 point for a teaspoon. I think it's 2 for 2. So that's how much I'm gonna be using, and I'm just gonna mix that in with the egg mixture. I'm gonna get started and pop that in the air fryer, and then I'll make the creamies. Okay, so you can hear my air fryer going. I pop those in there usually for about 10 to 12 minutes, and I mix them halfway, so I'm just gonna let those cook for now. And while those are baking, I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys some creamy recipes that I like to do. So the first one that I'm gonna be doing is gonna be different from the other 2, but then 2 of them I'm doing the exact same just because I know that we like it, and we would just wanna have it stocked up in the freezer to make as a dessert. So this is 6 points for a cup, and that's how much I'm gonna be using in each creamy. It's 140 calories, and it's got 13 grams of protein. So for the first one, I'm gonna do that. The other 2, I'm gonna be adding bananas, so I need to mash those first. But I'm just gonna measure out 1 cup of this chocolate milk. And then these are the creamy containers, so I just pour it directly in there. And then with this first one, I'm gonna be mixing in some protein powder. So this is the PE Science brand, and today I'm using the chocolate cupcake, frosted chocolate cupcake actually. So this also has 24 grams of protein in a scoop. It's 120 calories, and this will definitely be a high protein option with the Fairlife. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pour that in there. And actually to mix this today, I'm just gonna be using my handheld mixer. So I'm gonna go ahead and combine that really quick. And then because it's the chocolate milk and the protein powder is already kind of sweet, that's all I'm gonna be adding in there. So really this is going to be 8 points for the entire thing, and Adam and I will split it. We'll probably add some mix-ins. That'll be a really high protein option, so it'll be filling as well. Now for the other 2, what I do is I have the creamy containers. Each one is gonna get a banana, and I'm just gonna mash it with a fork. Then once I've mashed it with a fork, I'm gonna go ahead and add in the cup of chocolate milk Fairlife. And then to this one, I'm also going to be adding some powdered peanut butter. So sometimes I like to use the Nuts and More powdered peanut butters. They have some different flavors, but right now all I have is just the Great Value kind. So this is just regular powdered peanut butter. It is lower in point though. I want to say you can have like 3 or 4 tablespoons for 1 point. So I'm going to be adding 3 tablespoons into here, so it'll be extra peanut buttery. And then, like I said, just a cup of the chocolate Fairlife. That'll make this one 7 points total with just the powdered peanut butter and the milk. Then to add a little bit of sweetness to this, the banana kind of does add a good amount of sweetness, so it doesn't need too much of anything. And again, the chocolate kind of has a sweet flavor in the chocolate milk. But I'm also going to be adding some skinny syrup. So I'm just going to use this flavor. It's sugar cookie. I just feel like it'll go well with this. Usually I just mix up which one I use for the recipe. And we have so many different flavors that actually work really well. So skinny syrups are one of my favorite things to use for flavoring creamies. Anyway, I went ahead and mashed the banana so you can see it's nice and mashed in there. And I'm just gonna use the fork to also mix it together with the milk. I just find that that works best, or you could use a whisk. So then to each creamy container, I'm just gonna add probably, we'll do 2.5 pumps of the skinny syrup. And then I've got the powdered peanut butter. So For 2 tablespoons, it's got 50 calories and it adds 6 grams of protein. So all 3 of these options today, well, 2 options, I'm doing 2 of the same, but all 2 of these options today have a decent amount of protein in them. So that's always good because a lot of times by the end of the night, if I haven't hit close to my protein goal, I try to find something for dessert that's kind of higher in protein, whether it's like yogurt or a protein shake or something. So this just gives me another option to kind of have these kind of protein ice creams. So then with everything, I just mix it together and make sure to kind of combine it with the bananas as well, because sometimes they get stuck to the bottom, but I just mix it as best as I can because the Ninja Creamy machine does mix it when it makes it, but I feel like it's just better to get it as blended as you can from the start. So then once I've mixed everything together, you just pop the lids on and then you put them in the freezer for 24 hours. And then you can blend them with the creamy machine. I'm gonna go ahead and pop these in the freezer and they'll be ready for us to have tomorrow. I'm not gonna be showing how they are afterwards, but I will link some of my other creamy videos where I do show us blending them, so you can see that there. So I'll have those in the description, but our French toast casserole is almost done, so I will show you that when it is. Okay, so our French toast air fryer bakes are done. We're gonna go ahead and give them a try. I mixed the heck out of my blueberries, so mine looks crazy right now. But anyway, let's see. Cheers.
Cheers.
It's actually really good with that Trader Joe's sprouted bread. I like it. And sometimes I add syrup, but sometimes it doesn't even need it. Like, especially with the blueberries all mixed in like this right now, it kind of makes a sauce.
It's like a cobbler.
This is 5 points total. It is 3 points for the slices of bread that we used, and then 2 points for the sugar that I used. Again, if you use Swerve, it would be 0 points for that. 5 points for this dessert. Also works as a breakfast. That's mainly what it's for, but I like to have it as a dessert lately, so anyway, that wraps up my video for today for the desserts that I make the most, that are like pretty much recipes, but to me they're just something that I throw together at the end of the night when I want something sweet, and these are the things that I make the most. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, please go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I really, really appreciate it. It really does help out my channel, so thank you so much for your guys' support, and we will see you next time.
Bye.